Hi guys, should be live now, I think. Welcome back to the Crypto Knowledge Alliance. It's me, Jimbo. Now, I've got a little bit of a delay on the phone that I'm watching on to make sure that we're going live. So if you guys could just drop me a message if anyone's here listening and waiting, just let me know if you can. Okay, Rahul. Hi, Rahul. Good to have you here, mate. Can you guys hear me okay through the mic? Is the mic working? Can you hear me? Well, there we go. Cool. Excellent. Right. So first of all thing I'm going to say, guys, is I am using an alternative mic to the normal today. I've misplaced my normal headphones, so if the mic sounds a little bit crackly or different or anything like that, I am sorry. Loud and clear. Yep, perfect. So who we got in today? We've got Rocco Poco, Matt the Carpenter, Adib, Richard Cooper, Rahul. Excellent. Loud and clear. Yep, perfect. Cool. Great to have you here, guys. I hope you are having a nice weekend so far. I am personally of very high spirits. I've completed a rather large personal milestone this week and reaping the emotional benefit of doing so. Yeah, it's nice to be able to finally see my schedule a bit clearer than it has been. And now I can start really committing as much time to crypto as I'd like. And I know this video today is a little bit impromptu, and I will try to make them more scheduled in the future so that we can have them a set time or and that people can predict when they're going to be, etc., etc. But for now, I thought I'd just drop in and we'll do a little update together today, as I've got the opportunity to do so. I don't think we're going to need the Ichimoku Cloud for this. Okay, so let's start with Bitcoin. That always seems like a good place to start. In the meantime, guys, if you've got any requests or there's anything you want to look at, any news stories or any charts that you want having a look at, anything like that, you've got something crypto to share, come and share it in the chat box. CYT Crypto Steve, great to have you here. Steve, thanks for joining us, guys. If you're not already subscribed to CYT Crypto, Steve presents every weekday at 8 o'clock. He delivers fantastic content uh, in a really good manner, no shilling or anything like that. I suggest you go and have a look at him if you haven't done so already. Very good YouTuber. Okay, so anyway, let's get a jump in straight away into Bitcoin and let's have a look at see what we can see. Currently sat here on this is. Let me just change over to XBT chart. I prefer to use that. X. And if this is personal preference that I use BitMEX, guys, just when you're doing your charting analysis, I recommend that you try and stick to the same charting template one way or another. So if you look at Bitcoin at XBT, try and continue looking at XBT. If you use Bitfinex, use Bitfinex. If you use Coinbase, use Coinbase. You get my point. Just makes it a little bit easier to keep an idea of what patterns you're seeing, and I find it easier anyway. So you can see we've got that white horizontal support and resistance line that we put in the previous video. I can't recall. I should have watched the video back before, but I thought we said we thought we were going to see it push up a bit higher. It did so, broke that support and resistance there and pumped up. We've then come back down and we've retested it, and we've seen it act as support. What's Bitcoin going to do next? Well, I guess the weekend might be a bit of a slowdown. Not seeing as much buying pressure here on this bounce. Let's have a look. Let's get rid of these. Get rid of the 21 for the time being, and we'll overlay the volume, because volume is a very key indicator to seeing what's going on with the price. I like to overlay volume. So yeah, I mean, look, this bat we had quite a large amount of selling volume here. We've retested, saw the wick close back above the support and resistance line, and since then, no real buying pressure here. It's not being pushed up with huge support. I think I'll stick to with Bitcoin. I think I'll stick to what I said in the last video, which was very much a case of the trend is your friend and don't bet against it until told otherwise. I know that's a long way down that support line, but let's put this overlay, something like this. You know, the reason that I do this, guys, and sometimes you're going to have a look at my charts and you're going to think, wow, he's put a lot of, there's a lot of diagonal lines on that chart. Now, yes, I guess it's just down to where you see patterns, right? I find putting these lines in to actually view the support and resistance zones really useful for me. Some people use things like the pitchfork, fib pitchforks and stuff like that. Completely understandable. Whatever works for you is great. And I use these diagonal lines to see pattern zones. So if we break this diagonal here, then we're going to be end up testing this entire pattern. And I think if we broke this diagonal line here trending upwards, then we possibly would see a rather large sell-off. Adib Vindi, how do you think EOS will do in the next 12 hours before the announcement? Okay, well, let's dive into that, Adib. Sorry, just before I move off, sorry, Adib, I'll come on to this. Just before I go any further and jump off Bitcoin, I just want to say, right, there's a couple of points that I really think are significant. First of all, you could put in a horizontal resistance support, a horizontal box of resistance here somewhere around the 8,900. Break that, break 9,000 with strength, key. And we saw it before as well. We've seen it happen at 8,000. We saw it happen at down here at 5 and 6,000. When you break these key areas of psychological resistance, it tends to be backed up with quite high volume. So keep an eye on that, just because, you know, like I said, once you break these numbers, think about how quickly we went through 6,000. We spent so long saying, oh, we're going to struggle to hit 6,000. You can see here, here, and here. And then once we finally did, it just absolutely exploded. So key to watch those key levels of psychological support and resistance. But I think there's a big one here at 8, 9, and obviously corresponding with 9,000 as well. So you could probably extend the box out as far as that. And I think this, where we saw support here on the 4-hour chart, 8,200, I'd say that's pretty key as well. Break down below that, and I think we see a continuation of a retracement. So let's watch this horizontal zone here for the time being. So on to EOS. That was Adib's question. Guys, get those questions in if you've got anything you want to have a look at, or any news stories or anything like that that you want to bring to attention. Slap it there in the chat box and we'll get onto it. If you're watching and you haven't done already, I'd love if you guys could go and give me a little like on this video. If you're not subscribed, please do that as well. That's going to help the channel grow. And guys, if you want to talk crypto and you're not already in our Telegram group, come and get involved. The link for the free Telegram group is in the description for this video. You're more than welcome to come and get involved with us. Sean Dubs, welcome to you too, Sean. Great to have you. Great to have you here. Hi. If you've got any charts that you want to look at today or anything like that, slap them down in the chat box and we'll get to them in good time. First, we're going to have a look here at EOS for Adib. Now, EOS is looking like it's on a pretty steep uptrend at the moment. I would say that on a 4-hour chart, that's about as parabolic as things go. Let's draw it on. So congratulations to everyone holding EOS. Of course, oh, that's not a very good line. So I'm trying to draw on a laptop touchpad. Not going to go very well, but I'll try my best to draw this line in. You can see the parabolic curve that's here. Get rid of that silly line. Apologies for this, folks. Something along the lines of technical difficulties. Oh, I'll just draw it again. So it starts down here. Wave comes up. We've seen touches against it. And then we have shot absolutely parabolic at the moment. So how do I think it's going to do over the next 12 hours? Well, Adib, I think this very much depends on the news which is released. As you can see on the 4-hour stochastic RSI, we have seen a bearish cross to suggest that perhaps we're going to see some retracement in this current 4-hour trend before we see any further move up. But just because it has dropped down below the leading indicator has dropped below the secondary indicator on the stochastic RSI. That doesn't potentially mean we're definitely going to go all the way down because we can turn back up pretty quickly. But as you can see here, the last time it turned back down, although from a much higher zone, we saw a retracement and we continue this parabolic run. So I think we're going to see a little bit of retracement. In all honesty, unless something this news that drops, Adib. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys have been seeing in the group chats this morning. We have seen some information that's possibly suggests that the big announcement that's going to sort of be dropped this afternoon is a previously discussed piece of news, but maybe it's about to go live. And from what I can read, is perhaps it's going to try and take its hand at being a Twitter alternative, where people are rewarded in EOS for their out essentially they're rewarded for their outreach. So sorry, just have a sip of my tea. It's a Saturday morning. Got to have tea on a Saturday morning. Um, so yeah, so what I'm getting at is that what I read was, say you make a post and you've got 10 followers, you will get a corresponding amount of reward per month for your outreach. And the example then went on to say that, say you're Donald Trump and you've got millions of followers worldwide, then who knows, you could be earning anywhere up to $1 million per month, which would be nice. I can safely tell you that I will not be earning $1 million per month with my social media following. But hey, it's not a big deal. We just keep cracking on. Price wise for EOS, though, I'm sure we're only going to see good things against Bitcoin. Of course, guys, as always, this isn't any financial advice. I'm just calling things as I see them as always and showing you some of the trading techniques that I use and have had success with. Yeah, that's not a problem, Nadeeb. That's not a problem. What I would say is if we have a look here on the 1 day chart for EOS Bitcoin, we can see that we're well up in the bullish zone on the stochastic RSI. Let's overlay a couple of other things that we can use to help us. So we'll just have a look at the RSI, and we'll just throw in the money flow index as well. Now, I like to use the money flow index. I won't go into too much detail in this video what the money flow index is, because I'm sure I'll be able to get into another video and we'll be able to go into a little bit more detail. But for now, just know that it's shown to you similarly as the RSI. So what we've got here is we've got the stochastic RSI, we have the normal RSI, and then here at the bottom we have the money flow index. I believe that's right. Yeah, that's the right order. So it looks pretty much like the RSI, but as you can see, it's not exactly the same shape or gradient, and the touches don't happen at the same places. We can have I will look at that indicator again another day, and I'll show you how you would trade using this indicator. But essentially, it shows you buy and sell points on the market. In a good market conditions, it works. In very highly fluctuating market conditions, not so successful. So you need to know when to use each of these indicators. Anyway, as you can see that we're getting pretty much up to the top zone of all of these. We've been rejected off the 70 line on the RSI, so it'd be interesting to see if price is going to be able to push through that. Expect, Deeb, if the daily RSI does tick up and we push through that 70 zone, obviously we're then getting into the high bullish territory. And as you can see, the last time we pushed through that 70 zone, we had these lovely big green candles. In fact, you would even go as far as saying, if it's not a pattern that you're aware of, this looks something similar to a three green soldiers candle pattern here. Not perfect, but similar. And that's the sort of follow through you get with a really strong bull trend. We have got the EMA cross, which I know some of you guys here are a fan of, which is a bullish sign, something to watch for, although it did cross over 4 or 5 days ago. But still, keep an eye on it. Main leading indicator for me right now would be the live one, which is the RSI. I'd want to see that past 70, so keep an eye on that. Matt the Carpenter, how crazy does the Harmony 1 launch look? Yes, I've got to admit, Matt, I haven't had a chance. I looked at it very briefly this morning. I've actually, I woke up this morning, I had a look at the charts, and then I went and got my haircut. So since then, I have been unable to update. So these charts are a bit off the cuff today. And wow, okay, yeah, crazy. It does look crazy. Right. It's certainly pushing up at the moment. Let's see if we can get a chart that might give us some use. We'll go all the way down to the 15-minute chart. Wow. So you could have made 100% on this already today. That is, I'm surprised to see that. I've got to say, I thought that we would see a dump off on this. Maybe this is FOMO. Maybe this is people knowing that the blockchain projects connecting themselves closely to Binance are doing well, and this is people buying in. This may not even be project value. This could be purely speculative value. So I'd keep an eye on that. I've got to say, I won't be trading this today. I won't be trading it because I think it's far too volatile. And in my experience, I've seen some things like this where they have just absolutely plummeted within a couple of moments, and you see 30-40% wiped off the charts, and people are sat holding bags whilst whale size ICO investors, or IEO investors in this case, laugh all the way to the bank with the profit. So I won't touch this today. I'm not saying it's a bad trade because the way that the trend is bullish, let's be honest. But is the trend bullish because it's a good project, or is the trend bullish because simply based on speculative investment? I just don't know the answer to that question. Without reviewing the project more, I couldn't really give you any more insights. What I would say, looking at this chart though, that's something to watch for if you are looking to scalp here, is that yes, that green line that you can see that's developing there. That's our 7 EMA, and you can see that seems to be acting as a pretty good support zone for the price at the moment. So if you are looking to scalp, maybe look to trade off the 15-minute EMA, buy when it touches and doesn't cross below, and sell when you bounce off. Obviously, that's not financial advice. It never is. You know that, but it's worth having a look at anyway. How'd you share? Sean Dubs. Hey, Jim. Out of the few very low Satoshi coin, if you were to get into one, which and why? Sean, you're going to have to just expand on that a little bit for me, if you don't mind. Would you be discussing only Binance low Satoshi coins, or are you talking about the whole market in general? Because there are two very different answers to that question from my perspective, and I need to know that the answer to that. So if you could just drop that in the chat box, I am happy to answer. Matt the Carpenter, the like button doesn't work, doesn't hold my like on there. Okay. I don't know why that is. To be honest, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on there, Matt. Maybe give it another try. Let me know. I have my handy assistant nearby who might be able to see if she can give it a go. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It's no big deal. Yeah, guys, just give it a go. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I'll have to look into that. Sean Dubs, only Binance. Thanks, Jim. Yeah, so, okay, only Binance. Hollow. Hot. I I know that I've answered that very quickly, but I think there's some everyone does their own levels of research into things, and I've got to say, technical wise, I'm not up to scratch with the blockchain as well as I would like to be. Yeah, I understand parts, but you always have to be honest. Especially now, I'm doing content creation. It's important to be honest with you guys, and I want to learn more, and I will learn more. I know some, I will learn more. But what I know about Hollow is very good. I believe if Rahul's still in the chat, he'll correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think they won Blockchain Disruptor of the Year this year. These guys aren't messing around. They are building a very functional platform, and there are lots of people building upon Hollow. So I think that'd be the answer to the question for you there, Sean Dubs. For me, if it was to be a long-term hold, forget about being a day trader or whatever like that. A long-term hold would be Hollow. Don't know if I'd be buying at 27, just because I would rather buy down here at 23 or something like that. You just have to, certainly, even with a long-term hold. So there's a few different methods of investment long-term. Some people do dollar cost averaging and things like that. All suitable methods. As long as you take care and take note of the time frame of the investment that you're making, then you can determine how to enter. Entry price, in my opinion, is much more important than exit price. Because, all right, I'm going to lay something on you. You guys probably have heard this before, but I'm going to go, so just fly with me, right? I can't remember who it was that I was watching, but they were saying about how trading isn't the shift of wealth, rather it's the shift of perception. Okay, you can say, "What are you talking about, Jimbo? That sounds like a load of rubbish." But get this, right? Every time someone sells their crypto high or sells their stocks high, there is someone who is whose perception is, "I am buying this stock at a high price." What you want to make sure that you do is that whenever you enter or exit positions, your perspective of that is correct. So I am buying this for cheap is a perspective that you want to be in, and I am selling this for high is a perspective that you want to be in. You do not want to be in the other side of that that perspective, because they're the people who end up holding the bags. And a knock-on effect of having those perceptions and dealing with your investments in that manner is that you get in a position where you hold bags which end up losing money potentially. I'm not a financial advisor, guys. I'm just giving you heads up and advice from my opinion. I think we all know that buying low and selling high is what we want to do, but make sure you're the person who perceives that way about your own investments. Don't just FOMO in and think, oh, I might be buying high here. Get an idea in your mind of how long you want to be in an investment or a trade, and then base your price entry on that. If I wanted to hold hollow for the next few weeks, look at it, seeing it's turning up on the daily stochastics, seen a bounce here in the 40 zone on the MFI, and the RSI has stayed well above the 50 zone. You know, you're thinking, oh, I think this is going to see another nice big price increase. I can see this. This is actually a 12-hour, not the 1 day. My apologies, but over to the 1 day. 1 day, his story is very different, but I still think that in the next few candles, we're going to see a nice price increase here. We can follow some of these diagonals through and draw some of these trends further out, and you can see we're well above that pre-existing downtrend now. We've broken out of that pattern for sure, and we're turning up. We've seen the positive EMA cross 30, 35. Looks like a pretty high volume node to me, between 33 and 35. So I wouldn't be completely surprised to see it pushing up there in the medium term, maybe the next month or so. Who knows? Let's see what happens. But again, with a low Satoshi coin of this sort of value with hollow chain, it could blow all the way up there in a matter of a couple of exciting bullish days. I don't know if anyone else has tried to use the like button. I don't know if that's actually working. I know Matt had said that he'd had some issues there. So if anyone else can give that a crack for me and let me know in the chat box if it is working. So yeah, 310 million market cap for hot. So it's not exactly what we would in our inner circle describe as a hidden gem, for example. But what I do believe it is something that could potentially be very undervalued, as they put in some excellent work. And look at this chart. This is what we want to see. There's a guy on YouTube. Can't think of his name. I will find his name and I'll share it with you guys. And he talks about it's similar to the perception thing, but it works a little bit better. It's in a chart basis, so it's whether you're on the left or the right hand side of the trend, and how if you want to be a profitable scalping trader or day trader, you need to make sure that you're trading the left hand side of the trade, because the right hand side of the trade is the retrace or push back down, and that's really interesting. And what we're seeing here is we're seeing an upwards trend. You know, this is the left hand side of the trade. Don't get me wrong, this is the left hand side of the trade that you really want to be in when it's down here at 13 satoshis, and now we've pushed all the way up to 27, 28, wherever we are. Sean Dubs, I did work for me. Oh, I assume that's a like button. And Richard Cooper, I unliked and reliked. Okay, yeah. Thanks, Richard. That's nice of you guys. Okay, right. So let's just quickly go on to gainers and losers and see if we can't see what's going on in the market today. Again, guys, if you've got any questions or charts or anything you want looking at or anything, just pop it in. Any thoughts, pop them down there in the chat box and we can cover those. In the meantime, I will quickly see what's been moving in the market for us. Probably not going to do an hour today, guys. Probably stay on for another 10 or 15 minutes or something like that. See what chats we get through. I'm actually going out for a celebratory steak and not too long with my better half's parents. They're taking us out for a steak lunch, which I'm very much looking forward to. So in number one spot on the gainers and losers, we've got Mindex coin, 716% up on 500,000 volume. Not a token I've heard of, I've got to admit. Maybe you guys have seen that big price spike and it might interest you. Certainly wouldn't be looking to buy now, if anything else. If I'm perfectly honest with you guys, number two on the list, I have no interest in at all. if I see the word arbitrage in the name of a cryptocurrency token, I pretty much immediately stop looking at it. And that's my own opinion, guys. Everyone's entitled to their own. You guys might think differently, but from my experience of the arbitraging bots and arbitraging cryptocurrencies, or the ones that sell themselves around the idea of making profit of selling cryptos to cryptos on exchanges and taking profit through arbitrage, what I've seen out of it so far, most of it's scams. So I just don't pay any attention to them at all, unfortunately. Most significant one there is Sibcoin, up on $2 million of volume, 83%. We've got IoT Chain up 9,604,000. RSR. So we've been watching this one, haven't we, guys? I'm sure you all know. This is, if you know, sorry, certainly if you're in the groups, you'll be aware that we highlighted Rights Reserve token a week or so back. I believe we talked about it in the last video as well. And you can see that's on a nice steady uptrend at the moment, just at the beginning for Rights Reserve token. If you guys haven't looked into these guys yet, go and check it out. I actually had someone who was outright calling them a scam. Now, I'm not going to turn around and tell that person they're wrong, because from my opinion, I'm always welcome to others' ideas, and what I do like to see is some backed up evidence. And essentially, I just wasn't provided with that. I was told I hadn't done my due diligence and that I was wrong. And you know, guys, let me know your opinion. I think these guys could have something good here. I admit that the challenges that they're trying to take on are difficult, but that doesn't mean that they're a scam. It just might mean that they're looking to take on some rather large challenges. They also have a lot of very interesting angel investors and ICO investors. And well, I'll let you guys do your own research for it, but very, very interesting. And of course, I have to say, I'm completely biased. I hold some of this token, so do your own research. I'm not telling you to go out and buy it, but it's nice to see it moving up. CYT, what's your thoughts on Matic chart wise? Well, let's have a look. Let's have a look. Congratulations, by the way, on handing in your thesis and your presentation. Steve, thank you very much. Yes, Steve and a few others knew what exactly it is that I've been doing over the last few weeks and months, and it was actually completing my thesis for university. Now, I do actually work full-time. For those of you who don't know, I am an engineer, and I have just completed my thesis and handed that in for my engineering degree. I'm hoping that I get a nice grade and I pass with my Bachelor's of Engineering honorary degree, which is what I'm aiming for. Hopefully that won't be a problem, and that I can move on in my career with my company, and that the degree is going to serve me well. But thank you very much for pointing that out and saying congratulations. I appreciate that. And actually, I'm going to address something quickly now, guys. Very short, very quickly, because I've had a few people ask me about this. So I've been asked why I don't have my face on the camera. There's a couple of reasons. One, I don't have any very good recording equipment. That's one of the first reasons. I'm very new to this streaming thing. It's taken me weeks to even just work out how to do the screen share thing, let alone add my face and overlay. So maybe it might come another day once I get better equipment. But there is also this other little thing that I have in my mind, and it's that, like I said, I work full time, an engineer. I've got a fledgling career, and what I don't want to do is end up. I don't know what implications having my face on online streams may have in the future. I'm sure it won't have any bad one. But what I don't want to do is put myself in a position where something that I have a love for cryptocurrency and doing these streams and stuff. But it says essentially it's my side. It's a hobby. It's an additional thing that I do with my time. Yes, I do spend a lot of time doing it, but I also have to remember that I do have a fledgling career, and I don't want anything that I do in this space to intertwine too closely with my professional life. So for professional reasons at the moment, I'm just going to continue doing these screen shares. Maybe once I get some better equipment and I have a more clearly mapped out course for my career, and I know what I'm going to be applying for and what are the legal requirements there for me regarding this sort of stuff, then I'll have a better idea of what I can do. Matt the Carpenter held RSR through the week of continued dumping, looking a bit better now. No, yeah, same here, Matt. We got in about 40 or something like that, if I remember off the top of my head. And we did see a downturn. It seemed to sell off for a little while, down into the high 20s, maybe even so. So yeah, a little bit of a tree trace. Now we're picking back up. But I'm sure you're probably same headspace as me with that, Matt. Again, I would have liked to have bought that for a cheaper price, but I'm holding on to that investment for such a long time. I intend to hold that for such a long time that it I'm hoping that it'll be an insignificant difference. If you catch my drift. So yeah, I'll be holding on to that for a little while still. And just to let you guys know, I mean, I'm not going to give away all of my uh, portfolio tricks and stuff like that. But what I will say is this is how I organize my portfolio. I have what I consider the big cryptocurrencies are the makeup of the majority of my portfolio. So your Bitcoins, Ethereums, Cardanas, Ripples, etc., etc. They would make up my more confident side of my investment, and that's the majority. I then have projects in a mid-term sort of scale. I put them in a medium scale. What would I list in there? IOTA. IOTA. I am a humongous fan of IOTA. Um, what else would I fit into that particular category? Hmm. It's hard now off the top of my head to think about which ones I consider what risk level. BNB, Binance, yeah, that would probably go into that because I wouldn't call that one of the sure steady cryptocurrencies. It's a very speculative, but I do think Binance will do well in the long run. So I'd probably put Binance in there. IOTA, I said that one, but I mean I truly believe that IOTA could be global. It could be it could be huge. I get people telling me that other people are now developing on DAG and that they're doing a better job and that, they can do this, that, and the other. Well, that might be the case, and who knows? It could be wrong, but I have a little inkling that IOTA could be very much be the network and protocols that underlie the smart future that we're going to move towards. I understand that even back as early as 2013, maybe 2011, it was pre Angela Merkel's uh, step up into a highest position in government in Germany. She was already saying that she wanted to have the third industrial revolution right there outside of Germany. They wanted to have it, and under the German, as far as from what my research shows me, the German government and the big corporations, they understand just how big of an integral part of reducing aggregate efficiency the blockchain will be. What we need, right? Such a tangent here. So aggregate efficiency is basically the when you make something, there's a certain amount of energy that's needed to make something. There is also the rest of the energy which is wasted. And I learned this very early on in engineering because we do thermodynamics and things like that, and about what energy needs to go into a system to get what out, etc., etc. Aggregate efficiency is something that we learn about quite early on, and basically it says for example, try and think of a good way of. It's hard to link it to a product, but for everything that gets made, there's an amount of energy which is used. The aggregate efficiency is the actual amount of energy that was required to do the job. The rest is wastage, right? And that aggregate efficiency is just embarrassingly low across the whole world. That aggregate efficiency on this planet was peaked in Japan in the 90s, and it was like 20%. So for everything that Japan was making, their average aggregate efficiency was only about 20%. So that meant that 4/5 of all the energy being used to make everything was being wasted. And that's just not sustainable, guys. Why is that happening? Well, that's happening because we're using the tools of the second industrial revolution, in my opinion, and we have maxed out our ability to improve the aggregate efficiency of those tools. That's not to say they're not good. They have been good, but we've maxed out their capabilities. Why do I rave on about this third industrial revolution? Well, I rave on about it because I care about the human race, and I care about the planet, and I care about what we're going to be leaving behind. And at the moment, if we continue to go down this spiral of using these second industrial revolution tools, these fossil fuel burning systems, and very inefficient ways of doing things, we're going to suffer. And more importantly, our children are going to suffer. Therefore, we need to improve things, and we need to improve them quickly. Do I think that we have the capability as humankind right now to reduce carbon emissions to zero tomorrow? No, probably not. Probably not. You have to be realistic. But do I think that technology exists which is going to allow us to increase our aggregate efficiency, decreased wastage, and therefore make us a greener culture, make us live better with the rest of the creatures on this planet, actually begin to start securing a future for our planet? Yes, I think that the technology is starting to exist for us to do that. And Germany understand that. And Germany understand that to improve their country's aggregate efficiency, these blockchain networks are a step towards that. How can I explain that very clearly? So, another project that I'm fond of, and I think is a great use of blockchain, is supply chain management. I'm a big fan of Walton Chain because they're actually out there doing what they said they were going to do. They've built a supply chain network. You have RFID scan barcode systems on all of their products, and they all have a digital copy. This is on the blockchain. Because of that, you can make sure that they're shipped. Once you've recorded all the data of this shipment, you can start to refine and make it more efficient and improve aggregate efficiency. I know I've spoken about this for a while now, but the point is there is a big use case for blockchain in the future, and I think that you can see that there with supply chain and aggregate efficiency, um, and how they play a big part in what we do to the world, and the underlying financial systems at play as well. We're disrupting those things. We are disrupting the second industrial revolution, and we are replacing it with a far more efficient, far more clean energy. Think about how we look at Power Ledger. What is Power Ledger? Power Ledger is a blockchain network set for people to start producing their own energy. Why? Because we're disrupting the big energy players in the market. And you know what, guys? They know this. They already know this. In the last couple of years, Eon's made moves not to try and dominate the energy market, the future energy creation of the world. No, they're not doing that. Instead, they're looking to lead networks. They want to be the heads of networks because they know that individuals are going to be able to sell their power back to the grid. And instead of having one big distribution center for energy, eventually we'll all be creating our energy. We'll be getting paid for the energy we create. The system's going to be very different. This is the future. I digress. I apologize for that tangent. Very passionate about the third industrial revolution, as you can probably hear. Steve, if you're still there, from a charting perspective, I really like the look of Matic right now. In fact, I would say it looks like it's set to blow. We see that stochastic RSI down there right at the bottom. The RSI and MFI have barely scooched down. That is a really nice sign. Let's get rid of those horrible red lines that aren't needed. We've dropped below the 7 EMA and we've hung there quite tightly as resistance. Let's see if we can overlay a fib retrace. Matt, it's that nice combination of your engineering knowledge and crypto. Thanks, Matt. I know it's a little bit off the cuff and not exactly what the channel's all about and just why everyone's here, and I apologize for that. But I think it's key to really get a solid foundation and idea of not just how these cryptos and blockchain projects are getting on, but also why they're doing what they're doing, and if we're supporting, if we actually support some of these projects, why are we supporting them? What's the reason, etc., etc. So yeah, as you can see, if you're still there, Steve, it looks pretty nice on the Matic chart, bouncing off the 382. Yeah, it looks nice. Stay above that 382 line, pump. It's going to move. It'll move quick. I don't think we'll see it a lot cheaper than 250 unless we see a capitulation candle. Personally, I think if you look at that stochastic RSI on the daily chart, seeing that positive cross down there in the bottom zones, I think we're seeing this bottom out. I'll be looking into this further. Maybe zoom in to the lower time frames out of the macro time frame, see if we can find an entry point. Maybe now's not quite it. Maybe now isn't quite just the entry point. We can see that 7 and 22 testing each other, 7 being rejected at the moment. Sorry, that's the 7 and 50, not the 21. But we're getting rejected off that 50. So, when we eventually break that, I think that'll be the beginning of a real push. All right, guys, I'm going to run for 5 more minutes, so till 11:45. So if there's any more questions or if anyone wants to have a look at anything, please chuck it in there now. Otherwise, it will just have to be discussed in the Telegram group. Again, if anyone's here who's not in the Telegram group, the link's in the description. Please come and get involved. We talk all things crypto there all the time, and it is a clean and respectful place where it's safe for all opinions. Big shout out to Rahul, Matt, and Kukla, our team of admins who helped me in there. But I must say that although they do a fantastic job, they can't find it too difficult because everyone in there is completely respectful towards each other, and it's a really nice place to be. So, but big thank you anyway for you guys and what you do. Okay, I haven't seen anything else come through, but I don't know if my chat is lagging. So whilst I'm waiting to see if anyone else pops anything through, I will just quickly go ahead and introduce something. Again, this is me being a bit biased, guys. This is a company that I hold the token for, but I recommend you guys to come and do your own research on the project, and it's Howdo. I'm sure most of you have probably already heard them. If you haven't, here's their website, howdo.io. Now, I don't think you can actually do anything more with the website just yet because you have to be a founding member and you then can log into the page here. It says get it on Google Play and download in App Store. But from my personal understanding of the situation right now, you can't do that. It's not ready for full release just yet, but it will be in the next few weeks. Howdo are a not fully but partly decentralized social media platform that's being released. The way that these guys have gone about their business in the last year or so, guys, really makes me interested, and this could be one of the last opportunities we see, certainly over the next month or so, to buy Howdo anywhere near this cheap. We are talking about a seriously small market cap still, $5.3 million, which is not a lot. These guys, if they get off the ground and running the way that they have outlined in their roadmaps and in their communications with their community, which, by the way, they actively communicate with us, guys. They're giving us all the insights. You can go and check them out. They have their own Telegram group. If you want a link to that, come and speak to us in our Telegram group, and one of the guys in there will point you in the right direction. But if they complete everything on their roadmap timely and as they expect to do, expect this to be a much higher market cap. To do a 10x from here, we only have to get to a $50 million market cap. And 100x will take us to $500 million market cap. Now, if we are truly in the midst of a new bull run, 500 million market caps, USD market caps were all over the show last bull run. If you were here then, you will know what I'm talking about. If you weren't, strap in, get ready for some pretty crazy things over the next 2 years, because it looks to me very much so that we've entered a bull period. I'm sure we're going to see some retracements along the way. Always remember, guys, when you see the Bitcoin price going down, that the last bull run saw 7 occasions of 35% or more retracements whilst we were on the way up. So it doesn't always just go straight up. Don't panic when it comes down. Keep your hands strong. Don't sell your bags low. Remember, I am not a financial advisor. I'm just giving you my advice and letting you know what has worked for me previously. All right, guys. Yeah, Matt, love Howdo. This will be huge. Yes, I think it will be. I started playing around with the UI a little while back today. It's the first time I've jumped on there now that I've got the founding members badge and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, I really like the look like the way it works and the user interface on there. And I think that they're building something that's going to be really cool. CYT Crypto, yep, really keen on Howdo as well. Yeah, sure. Yeah, of course, Steve. Absolutely. It looks really interesting. And I hope you caught that a little bit on Matic as well. I think that Matic looks good. I may be looking in to take a position myself. Okay, guys. Right. I think that's probably going to be it for everything for today. Thanks for stopping by. As I said before, try and get these at more regular times so that it's not just so impromptu. That gives people an opportunity to drop in. That being said, I've appreciated you all for being here today. I hope that it's been of some use, and we'll catch up in a couple of days. I'll let you know well in advance, but as I said, now the project's over, we're going to start having these probably be in the evenings. I think it's probably going to be about 7 o'clock UK time. That's probably what we'll be doing. They'll be in line with me getting back from work and stuff like that, and I think that just works well. It's just going to work as a good time of the day, I think. Just one last question I didn't answer. Sean Dubs, Jimbo, do you use other markets beside Binance? Sean, I absolutely do. I do quite a bit of day trading on Binance personally, but it's not the only place I do day trading. In fact, I would go as far as saying that some of my most successful day trading ventures have been off Binance, but there's a certain level of risk involved in using other exchanges, and you need to know how to navigate each individual exchange. Because the truth is, if it's brand new to you, you know, things can go wrong. I'm sure I'm not talking about you personally, but I'm just saying from experience that you want to be assured with any platform that you are using before you start doing any big trades on it, because the truth is you just don't want to mess around with your money on an exchange you can't trust. I have had positions before where I've had withdrawals blocked for 3 or 4 days. And you try to reach out to the customer service, you get no real explanation. They're a small, dodgy, centralized exchange based in the Cayman Islands, and you have times of doubt where you think, "Oh, blimey, maybe I'm not going to have my money returned." I've never actually had that issue happen, but all I'm saying is just make sure you're assured. But there are plenty of other good exchanges. One that I would immediately recommend you check out, just opinion again, is KuCoin. KuCoin is a good platform in my opinion. Cheers, Steve. Jep. Cheers, Jimbo. Have a good weekend. Yes, you too. Cheers, and thank you very much all for tuning in. I'll leave it there for today, and we'll catch up in the week. Till next time, guys. Bye.